Another teaser just dropped on Glitch's Twitter, and what they showed us is seriously wild. We see all the characters, but they're looking a little strange. We've already seen Pomni's look in that mini-game on Wacky Watch, but it's going to be really interesting to talk about the others. All their heads are mounted like trophies in someone's mansion, and the most shocking one is definitely Zooble. Instead of the usual parts, we see moose antlers and a ripped-out eye. Kinger finally has visible eye sockets, and Gangle's mask shows a new expression, though she's probably not too happy about it. Ragatha, on the other hand, has one of the creepiest looks of them all, and most fans would agree. And Jax? Well, he's pretty much unchanged. Okay, jokes aside, this teaser definitely has a deeper meaning. Like I said, all these heads look like trophies, and it's likely they belong to Caine. Obviously, they're not real heads. They're just replicas, symbolizing Caine's victory over the others. So it seems like every character in Episode 3 is going to face their own terrifying ordeal and come out shaken, whether it's from a challenge or some kind of therapy session. Each of these faces might represent the final emotion each character experiences in their adventure. Zooble might discover the truth. Kinger, Pomni, and Gangle will witness something that changes them forever. Ragatha's about to feel the most intense fear of her life, and that smile might be stuck on her face, or at least the memory of that day will be. As for Jax, he doesn't seem too freaked out. It's probably a hint that he'll be the one doing the scaring. And after all the leaks, I think it's time to talk about what we can expect from the plot of Episode 3. With Pomni waking up and everyone gathering together. After that, Caine's probably going to announce that they're off on another adventure, and this time it's called The Mystery of Mildenhall Manor.
Our friends find themselves in the decrepit manor of the Mildenhall.
True to form, Zooble will likely sit this one out, just like in the pilot and second episode, while the rest of the crew heads off to the spooky mansion. But this time, Zooble won't go unnoticed, because Caine is about to play therapist with her. More on that later. We saw only Pomni left outside the manor while the trailer shows all 5 characters. Let's not forget how they were warmly welcomed in Candy Kingdom. But the vibe at Mildenhall Manor's gonna be a lot chillier. I'm guessing Pomni went ahead to explore the new location first, and then the others caught up with her, just like we saw in the trailer. Notice how Jax and Pomni are walking side by side? They stay close in the next scene where Jax gives us a nod to Ghostbusters. But before that, someone else shows up. Remember the ghost seal we've known about since the initial announcement? Pomni hadn't seen it before, and when she does, her eyes literally pop out of her head. After that, Jax figures out a solution to the problem. But that's only the start of the horror show. We already know from leaks that Kinger and Pomni are teamed up, and the trailer confirms it. After they split into 2 groups, Pomni and Kinger on one side, Jax, Gangle, and Ragatha on the other, we don't hear much about the trio, but our dynamic duo starts exploring the mansion's rooms. The first room sets the creepy mood for the rest of the adventure. They find a hallway leading to more rooms, but nothing seems significant until they hit a locked door that immediately grabs their attention, especially Pomni's. She tries hard to open it, and when she finally does, they enter a room filled with all kinds of strange details. While checking it out, Pomni stumbles across some freaky pictures of ghosts and missing people. The real kicker, though, are the tapes they find in one of the drawers. When Pomni picks one up, it seems like Martha Mildenhall herself might appear and say something, which totally freaks Pomni out, while Kinger's reaction is to bring up his fortress again, just like he did in the pilot. Now, let's talk about the tape recorder. It's clearly the key to unraveling the mystery of the manor. Maybe that's what Martha told them before Pomni and Kinger set off to find it. They end up in that room we saw in the leaks, and I initially thought the hand we saw would try to harm them, but after seeing it from another angle, it's just part of the creepy room's decor. Gross, but not dangerous. Once they find the room and pop the tape into the recorder, a mysterious tunnel appears, adding another layer of terror to their situation. I'm pretty sure the characters won't have a specific goal like in Episode 2. This time their main task will probably be solving some mystery, but the real focus will be on the emotions and fear they experience during the ordeal. In the tunnel, they'll face a ton of terrifying stuff, and that's not even mentioning Pomni's cracked psyche or Kinger's temporarily missing eye. Before diving into the mystery of Mildenhall Manor, I have to talk about Zooble, because Episode 3 will finally give us some insight into her life and mental state. In an old leak, we saw an argument between Caine and Zooble, and I thought it was just another disagreement about skipping the adventure, but it turns out to be way more complicated than that. From the pilot and second episode, we know Zooble avoids interactions with the other characters and skips out on new adventures. It seems like Kaufmo's abstraction was the turning point for her, making her realize that without real friends, it's almost impossible to survive in this crazy digital circus. Or maybe the opposite. Remember what happened to Kaufmo before he turned into the monster from the pilot? He became withdrawn, stopped interacting with others, and his room turned into something out of a psych ward, even though he used to be one of the most outgoing, positive characters who'd try to cheer everyone up with jokes.
I know we didn't always get along, like when you called me out for fake laughing at your jokes. I swear I really did think they were funny. I was just having a bit of a bad day!
Caine seems to realize that if things keep going this way, Zooble's fate might be the same. So after a few failed attempts to get her to join the adventure...
Zooble, wait! I'm testing out a new AI in this one. It should be 57 times more immersive.
He decides to hold a therapy session with her. Nobody really knows what Zooble was like before the pilot, but maybe she was cheerful and upbeat, and her behavior only recently started changing. I also think Caine saw Zooble's behavior in the second episode and figured out she's still salvageable, deciding to take matters into his own hands to prevent another tragedy in the circus. In the first scene, we see Zooble once again refusing to participate, which, as usual, frustrates Caine. After yet another argument, Caine realizes enough is enough and instantly creates a therapist's office, leaving Zooble with no way to avoid the conversation. Her expression says it all. She's beyond shocked by what's happening. Caine makes it clear he's done tolerating Zooble's indifference, and she has no choice but to listen, whether she likes it or not. Even when Zooble tries to run away, Caine uses his admin powers to teleport her back, like she's just another NPC he created. One part of their conversation that stood out to me was when Caine learned something so shocking, his jaw literally dropped. By the end of their chat, Zooble is back to her usual moody, independent self, but something definitely went down during their talk. Goose even gave this its own storyline in episode 3, so I think the conversation went something like this. Zooble's super frustrated with everything and storms out, but then she realizes this is her chance to open up and vent about all her issues. By the end, though, something bothers her again, and she snaps back at Caine. The most interesting part will be when Zooble finally spills all her secrets. I bet we'll learn that she absolutely hates being stuck in the digital circus and can't figure out who she's supposed to be in it. She'll talk about how sad she is over all the deaths she's witnessed.
Got everything ready. Hey, you at least want to join us for Kaufmo's funeral?
And the thought that she might be next keeps her in a constant state of panic. She's really not into being forced to join these adventures that don't interest her, and maybe that's why Caine reacted the way he did. Remember, the whole Candy Kingdom adventure in episode 2 was designed specifically for her, and from Caine's perspective, she didn't appreciate all the effort. Caine's definitely gonna lay all that out there to Zooble, and we'll finally see that legendary scene. Of course, we'll get all the juicy details when the episode drops. But before diving into the main mystery of the spooky mansion, we gotta talk about Jax, Ragatha, and Gangle, because the trailer and leaks didn't really show anything about them. Everyone remembers that Vacuum Jax was bragging about to Pomni, right? And we all know who owns the manor. What really piqued my interest is this funny little character. For the longest time, I thought it was Martha Mildenhall's pet. But what if there's more than one, and these mysterious creatures are actually her pets that have scattered around the house? That would explain why Jax grabbed the vacuum. So, throughout the episode, the three of them are probably just gonna do their own thing and hunt down these pets. Meanwhile, Kinger, who's also one of the main characters this episode, has another challenge: getting over his anxiety and finally stepping up. That's probably why he's teamed up with Pomni, who knows how to connect with the other circus folks. And judging by what we've seen so far, he sorta succeeds, but also kinda doesn't. There was a lot of speculation about who Kinger was aiming at with that shotgun, and it turns out it's Pomni. In an old promo for Season 1, we saw something that looked like Pomni's hat, and in the Episode 3 trailer, we clearly see her leg. But considering how calm and collected Kinger looks in his final scenes, it seems like he pulled through.